Hey guys, let's talk baseball practices. I'd like to share what my holy grail baseball practice is. And when I share this vision of what a baseball practice is, also contained is some other North Stars that I have as a coach. And I think that maybe others should include a little bit more. So, my holy grail baseball practice is we show up from moment one all the way to the conclusion of practice, whatever that is, and the kids are shelling out reps the entire time. That's my holy grail. A lot of people might think they understand what I mean. Oh, we're going to work really hard the whole time. No, I mean literally that from each of those 11, 12, 13 kids' perspective, that there is zero downtime in that whole 2 hours. None. Maybe moving from a station to a station, but almost zero downtime. No waiting in a line. No waiting for a coach to explain something in fungo. That they're getting reps. And they're getting reps in the game-like condition. Not something that builds on something that builds on something that builds on something that 10 layers later leads to the game-like condition. Game-like condition, 2 hours. And I think that running a practice in this way, I have 13 kids, I think it's 10, 11, 12, even 13x more efficient of a practice than what is typically done in baseball. What I see done in baseball is the majority of practices, you have one kid actually doing something, whether it's hitting and everybody else is in the field, and then you alternate the hitter. That's a common one. I see that all the time. Or the coach is fungoing balls and talking situational stuff. You know, if this, then that. All right, a runner at first. Here, you guys do this and that. But from an individual standpoint, that kid is standing around for most of that practice. A is boring. That's why baseball can be extremely, extremely slow for a young athlete. So it's just boring. You get the Charlie Brown effect with the coach. First base, second base. That's what the kid hears. Especially if you're just doing rapid fire. This situation, now that situation, now this other situation. So it's boring. And two, it misses the most important aspects of baseball. So let me get controversial for you. I think that baseball is a comparatively simple sport compared to some of the other domains that I do. One of the other domains that I do is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's what I do for a living. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is so incredibly varied. There are so many fundamental positions in this thing that it's a lot of knowledge acquisition. Less drilling, more knowledge acquisition. And in baseball, there's a comparatively less skills, and you need to repeat those skills more. I'm not saying you need to not repeat them in other domains, but just comparatively speaking. You have a couple of main skills. Throw the ball hard and accurately. Get the ball in the glove. Run fast. Hit a ball with a stick. And the more that you can repeat those tasks, not only the better will your team be, but the more receptive will those kids be when they have like a base of just practicing that task. That if you try and adjust one little thing, maybe you watched a video on YouTube and maybe it's a great tip. It's, do your hips like this instead of this, or move your hands like this instead of that. They will be ready for it. What I think that a lot of adults do is they overteach. Especially, you get the dad who's not a professional coach. They overteach. They just talk so much. They talk for 20 minutes. All the kids are around and they're showing them this and then they stop. No, that's all wrong. Got to do it right, kids. Got to do it right the first time. I completely reject this idea. What I think should be done instead of that is to get a tremendous amount of reps first. And then after the weeks and weeks pile up, then you can start to add in just a little flavor of, instead of doing the ground ball like this, do it like that. Instead of holding your glove like this, hold it like that. Use your other hand like this. You can sprinkle it in over time, all the while having the reps form the baseline. Now, the question would then become, how on earth are you going to get a kid working that entire time? Well, stations is the key. And it's in the number of stations. However many kids that you have, you need that many stations. I have 13 kids. Probably 11 show up to practice. So I'm going to need 11 stations. The next question that comes to be is, how on earth are you going to run 11 stations? And that's a really great question. It's one that I'm continually refining now. Every time I get done with practice right now, I'm reflecting on how was the productivity of the stations and how well did those stations translate to building that game-like skill that I desire. And how many good reps did they get in? So there's a couple of things that you need to solve for. One is equipment. I've invested a lot of time, more than money actually, in acquiring the equipment necessary to run 12 stations. People think that I've spent a fortune, a life savings on all this equipment that I bring into the practices, and I haven't. What I've done is gradually over time scoured Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, Sideline Swap, all of them, eBay, and to obsession level, and probably for the price of one really good pitching machine, I've acquired all this fantastic equipment that the kids can use to help get that moment one to the end of practice. So there is some financial investment, but I don't think that it's out of the reach of a league or even a team to fundraise themselves or just to finance themselves. If you go and buy it new, let's say you want to go and buy a new Hack Attack and you want to get a team feeder for the Hack Attack, goodness gracious, that's $6,000. Nobody has $6,000 to spend. But if you become a Facebook Marketplace sleuth and you do it in winter and fall when everybody's getting rid of this and right after the spring season ends, then you're going to acquire some pretty good stuff for pretty cheap. Enough to be able to replicate game-like conditions over time. I've shared some of the equipment that I found valuable in other posts. But you need pitching machines above all. And you not need one pitching machine, you need a ton of pitching machines. The best one is the Zuka machine. Every Zuka machine I paid no more than $250 for, being a Facebook Marketplace Craigslist sleuth. $250. I mean, I have 3 right now. I had 4 at one time, but I sold one of them. Just turned a profit on it. So that's 3 pitching machines. I also invested in a Hack Attack. Got to be able to see curveballs at the major league level. That Hack Attack was my biggest purchase. Paid $1,200 for it. That's a lot of money. But it can throw as hard as I want. And it puts backspin on the ball. I don't want to get too much into the equipment discussion. You can see some of the stations that I have. But the point is, it is expensive, but not all that expensive to be able to acquire this stuff over time to make these stations. The next thing that you need to invest in is people. I try and automate or make self-contained the stations as much as possible. There's a couple of just easy, low-effort stations. An enormous rebound net. It takes me 2 minutes to set up. There's a station. They're throwing a baseball. They're practicing fielding. And you'll hear time and time again from major leaguers when they were a kid, they threw a ball against a garage door. That's how they developed their arm. There you go. Easy station. I'm always looking for easy stations that need no explanation. Find an old pancake mitt for $5 on Facebook Marketplace. There you go. They're learning the skill of the pancake mitt and what it has to teach them. So that's one easy, low-effort station that I do. But you're going to need help. My Hack Attack is automated. It has a team ball feeder. It's no supervision. I have a $9 remote control for the power on the auto feeder. $9. The kids turn it on, turn it off from home plate. Don't need to worry about that. One of my Zukas I got for free, an auto feeder. Somebody wanted to give it a good home. I was there to buy something else, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And they're like, that? You can have that. You'll find a lot of that if you actually put the effort into it. But you're going to need adult help or kid help. You need somebody to put a ball in the machine, make sure it's reasonably safe, when it happens, and then fire away. So I have not hit my holy grail for practice yet. I've gotten close. And even in my practices with a little bit of inefficiency kind of built into them, due to my failure to design a little bit more efficient flow in the whole thing, I think that our practices are 10x a normal practice. I think that I'm getting 10x the development on the kids because they are getting far, far more reps than they've ever got. I mean, think about it. In a practice, does every one of those kids get an entire bucket of ground balls? No. When you have them lined up at, let's say you have two stations, one at short, one at second, you're hitting them ground balls. How many balls each are they getting? 15? Tiny little bit. And you spend an enormous amount of time on that. You have it as a station, 7 minutes. Those guys are going to get through a bucket and more. If you want them to throw it back to you instead of first base, you can just shell out those balls. They're going to get more reps than you can even imagine. And they'll get freaking tired. You ever take 7 minutes of ground balls straight, hitting them to the left, hitting them to the right? I'm not saying anything. No instruction. None. Let them get the ball. It's kind of self-correcting. And that's another thing that I aim for in the stations. Ones that are self-explanatory. One thing that's self-explanatory, put a radar, tell them to throw 15 pitch bullpen, and have that radar shout out the speed of the pitch. That is self-correcting. Because every one of those kids wants to one-up another person. Another example of self-correcting, bat attachment off of a tee. Swing as hard as you can, hit it in the air. The bat attachment tells you how hard you're swinging. The bat attachment tells you what your attack angle is on that ball. It is self-correcting, no coaching needed. No move your hands like this or like that. If they're doing it correctly, it will show in the results. That's what I mean by self-correcting. So I want to give you an example of this. This was largely, I considered this practice, I went home kind of melancholy because I felt like I failed at this practice. And by my own standards, I failed. But I want you to take a look at this practice. Station 1, getting after it right here with the upright rows. Station number 2, he's just in between sets right now, readjusting the weights for chest presses. We have the resistance band, basically having a little trouble with it. It's figuring it out, that's all right. We have Jackson, he's on the smart bat attachment, hitting off the tee. Nice. 50 miles an hour on the bat speed with 16 degrees attack angle, very nice job. We have over here, we're getting infield work in. Nice job. Well, we have various batting stations going on. This one over here, we have a coach running, just getting some balls. This one right here is self-sufficient, so they load it up in the auto feeder. Just load it by hand, just like that. We have 55 miles an hour going on over there with a coach. We have a rebound net going with a pancake mitt. We have 60 miles an hour with an auto feeder.
59 miles per hour.
Here, what I'm supposed to be doing is doing fly balls on the Zuka. So those are our stations.
With this next practice, because this is kind of a semi-advice giving and a semi-vlog of my experiences as a coach, I think I'm finally going to do it. I think I'm finally going to hit that holy grail of practice where we are working the entire time. Let's see if I get it on this next one.